And yo, what's decent? I'm all up in your spot like a predator drone. Yo, I have a crazy underused match that happened just the other night, and my opposition is gonna lead off with Rhyperior. And if you guys saw how fast, I don't think you understand the magnitude of what I mean by that. I mean that shit with like Arial font, 4,000 size letters. How fast I clicked that switch button into my Blastoise, she would have broke out in tears crying at me, man. Oh my god, crying and laughter. I mean, I was so afraid of that thing. I was so afraid that I forgot that I had U-turn on that thing. So I'm just gonna switch out into my Blastoise, knowing full well that nothing is on this team is gonna really appreciate or skull more or less the Rhyperior. And out comes the Xatu after he hits me with the Choice Band and Stone Edge, man. That's Choice Band definitely because I'm 252 in HP and defense. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get the added effect of the Scald onto the Xatu, and in comes this Porygon 2 and responding to my switch out into Tornadus, which was a response to his switch out into Xatu because I know he wasn't going to go for the Thunder Wave twice. So in comes his Quillfish onto my Snorlax, and I'm just going to go for the Body Slam. Unfortunately, I do get the paralysis on that, but it's not like it even matters. I'm still slower than Quillfish, and it's free to set up its entry hazards. So I have to keep Blastoise alive for later on. I mean, it's a definite must. This thing could also get Toxic Spikes, and that means that at one point I'm gonna have to switch out into my Nidoking, which is what I kind of don't want to do, to force myself to switch out into something that I don't really want to, just to dissipate his oncoming Toxic Spikes in case he sets that up later. So in comes my Snorlax after I switch out into my Raikou, because I'm thinking like his team is Raikou weak, but the worst thing he can do is Trick Scarf me or Trick Specs me, man. I was like, yo, that's the perfect switch because I can like get up a substitute while you overheat, get a -2, sub again, you know what I'm saying, get my Calm Minds going, wreck house. But man, he might surprise me with the Choice Specs. But anyway, now I don't have to really worry about that, and he's just gonna Volt Switch out after I switch out into my Tornadus, expecting another switch to come in, and he's just gonna set up a substitute on my Snorlax, trying to set up on it, but I do carry the Earthquake. Luckily for me, last minute I did change that moveset because before I had Crunch, and now I'll just change it to Earthquake because it was like for Chandelure and for other stuff. And I'm thinking like, you know, Chandelure also takes super effective damage from the Earthquake, and Earthquake does more than Crunch anyway. It's not even stab on Snorlax anyway, and now there's Crunch. So I figured like, why don't I just go for the Earthquake? I can hit Steels too. I can hit like, you know, Cobalion and stuff on the switch in. So why the hell not? So anyway, in comes my Gligar. I'm just gonna set up the rocks before killing off the substitute, because if I killed the substitute first and then afterwards set up the rocks, there was a strong possibility that he would have went out into the Xatu, and then I would have had like rocks on my side of the field. In comes his Quillfish, and out comes my Blastoise. Again, he's just gonna repeat the same process that he did before and going out into Rotom, and then afterwards going for the Volt Switch. I'm gonna do the same thing, rinse and repeat as well, and go out into my Snorlax while he Volt Switches. I know in a sense that he is really gonna Volt Switch, but I can't take the chance that he might overheat on my Nidoking switching, and I don't even have much anyway on Nidoking to deal with this threat. I have no choice really to go to my Snorlax if I want to save my Blastoise later on to Rapid Spin away his entry hazards. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, alright, he's not gonna repeat the same thing, but actually, no, I'm thinking that he would actually repeat the same thing. So he went onto Rotom again, but I'm going to give him a false sense of security because I happen to be Choice Specs, and I know that a Choice Specs Hurricane at that amount of HP would be enough to finish off the Rotom. So he stayed in anyway, and Rotom is out of there, man. So I'm just going to switch out into my Snorlax as Death Rider to see what he locks himself onto. He goes out into Stone Edge, and Voldo bites the dust. In comes Kalik, right? So I'm just going to go for the Rapid Spin, but I guess that was a little too obvious that I would not go for a Water type attack, and I just kind of had to get rid of the spikes, man. I mean, that's very helpful later on, as you guys might be able to see, as it will probably afford me more substitutes with my Raikou, and that's more or less what I'm thinking about. So I'm just gonna go for the Blizzard, and unfortunately Blizzard does not connect. That means I can't like lock myself into Blizzard and give him a false sense of security that I am Choice in some shape or form. Quillfish bites the dust after I change up my movesets, and then afterwards in comes Porygon 2 tracing my Sheer Force. I know he's gonna go for the Ice Beam because I have Nidoking, Tornadus, and another thing that happens to be weak against Ice type attacks, so I have to switch into that thing. So I'm just gonna go for the Earth Power again, and afterwards switch out into my Raikou just to have him think that I'm just gonna go for a secondary Earth Power on the Porygon 2 so that he can only recover. So I predicted to recover and went out into Raikou, if you guys catch my drift. He is gonna unfortunately get a critical hit, and in a sense that's kind of what I did not want happen, for him to trace my Sheer Force, just because of that factor of him being able to break my substitutes with the Ice Beam. So in comes Bisharp, and I'm thinking like, alright, I'm pretty cool. He has a Sucker Punch. I know his other stab, either Break or Iron Head. Well, break isn't really stable on Bishop, but I think that Iron Head won't be able to break the substitute anyway. I'm just gonna go for the Calm Mind again. I really should have actually been 252 in HP. I mean, Calm Mind does cover my special attack as well as my my special defense, so nothing really covers my HP unless I put EV investments on that. So I think in the future I'm just gonna do that. So we're playing a little mind game here. I know he very well does have the Sucker Punch. I've seen him use 3 of them so far, I believe. Actually, no, I've seen him use... Now this is 3 because I have the pressure, so 1 Sucker Punch counts as 2. I'm gonna go for the Thunderbolt, and it was a little obvious that he would go for the Sucker Punch in that move. I should have actually maybe went for another Calm Mind in that sense because I knew he was gonna go for the Sucker Punch again. Bishop is gonna go for the Iron Head, and in a sense I'm like, alright. If I sub down again, he goes for the Iron Head and breaks my sub. I can sub down again afterwards, knowing full well that he's not going to go for the Iron Head and then go for the Sucker Punch, leaving him at 1 Sucker Punch, which he will probably want to save for later on, maybe his Nidoking or something like that. So I know he might want to switch up his moves because he doesn't want to waste the 1 Sucker Punch that he has, and then finish off his Bishop with the +3 Thunderbolt that I have with the Raikou. But none of that even takes place. He overpredicts me earlier than I expected, and then afterwards I'm able to take out the Rhyperior after he speed like switches out. So Raikou is just cleaning house. Zatu, I think you have something to say. Oh, never mind. Okay, I guess that's over. So it's nothing really that he can do. The worst he can do at this moment is like maybe what do I want to say? Sucker Punch my substitute in order for it to break. But in comes the Porygon 2. He's just gonna trace the pressure, and I'm thinking like, okay, he might probably want to spam recover, so I'm just gonna get up as much Calm Minds as possible, so that I can like hit this thing with a Thunderbolt and do well over 50% onto the Porygon 2, and then afterwards finish it off, which only affords Porygon 2 recovers at best, which would mean in a sense good game because he can't really break my substitute. So I'm just gonna Calm Mind again, and then afterwards strike this thing down with the Thunderbolt. So Ice Beam is not gonna be able to break the substitute, and Bishop comes back in and loses to Raikou. So that was definitely a great scary game at one point because he had the Bishop with the +2 behind the substitute, and you know, Sucker Punch ready to destroy my entire team. But I did happen to pull through, and that was actually pretty freaking exhilarating. So I definitely had a lot of fun. Peace. What you doing?